My name is Optimus Prime, and you're watching Tales from Teletraan. Hey everyone, welcome back to Tales from Teletraan, the only Transformers podcast that is faster than the Flash running on a treadmill. I hope I didn't do that one already. It just seemed like a good time. Anyway, introduce yourself, guys. Transformers Talk Raw. You're up first because you're the guest, man. Go for it.
My name's Matt. Transformers Talk Raw is the channel. Y'all listen in if y'all can. Appreciate you being here. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Danny, you're up.
I'm Danny Dolphin. Why do I need to introduce myself, as Patrick says? I'm a nobody.
And as always, I am the in-dash of PUT. That is in a dash of put, and links to everything down below that you want to find us at. And I want to say thanks to everyone who's joined us in chat. I'm going to do a real quick shout out of everyone I see in chat. Chris Milchev. I did a video with him last week. Fun time. Go check it out. Just really good. Just hanging out with him last week, early morning kind of hangout. Earthman Brick, what's going on, man? Always good to see you. Marcos from M3 Reviews. Go check out Marcos at M3 Reviews. MC DJ. Ninja Bill, what is going on? And Soundwave NL 1977. Man, just keep on going. Winston, what's up, Winston? And Ultra Marcus is in the house, man. We got some legit players in the chat today, and I want to welcome everybody and thank you for joining. Yeah, man.
And
what do you say, Danny?
no, I said homie got out of bed for this one.
So yeah, let's dive right on into it, man. Anything that Mathew, anything that you want to plug before we get this ball rolling, before we get into the hot topics, and I don't mean the store and the mall.
Ooh.
Yeah, man. If y'all just want to check out the podcast, my channel, it's Transformers Talk Raw. I'm sure Input will have a link down there. But we also have a change.org petition. If you happen to see my point of view in all this, you can at least check it out. If you'd like to sign it, help the cause, I'd appreciate it, guys.
All right, what's the change.org petition about? What's it going on?
Well, it's for the immediate removal of the YouTube channel Prime versus Prime.
All right, there you go. And which we're going to get into today in this conversation. Very in-depth, very serious conversation.
Hey.
And
This was weird.
So why don't you start us off, Mathew? What do you go into?
I mean, the whole subject, I mean, I'm sure we're all kind of aware of it by now at this point. Came to my attention a couple of years back. I believe it started with his Scorponok, his Titan class Scorponok review for myself. That and seeing Proto Man's coverage of the subject really brought it to my attention. But it's, to me and to myself, it's obvious at this point that the gentleman is reviewing these stolen factory samples for views, for subscriptions, and it's really been the genesis of the explosion of his channel, and to a lesser degree his contemporaries there. I think there's like 3 or 4 of them, but yeah, it's wrong. It's an insult to the Transformers fandom and community, to content creators, and to the people that have given us the Transformers, Hasbro themselves. And as a fan of for over 35 years, and I'm sure some of y'all have been fans that long, I think it's kind of disrespectful of them. If they wanted their product out that early, it'd be out that early. If they wanted it reviewed that early, they'd provide review samples. But that's my take.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot to unpack on that take, right? So
sorry, I'm just gonna join and then rejoin because this thing is like frozen. I'll be right back.
Okay. There's a lot to unpack there with what you said. Okay. So you said starting with you, the Scorponok review is where you noticed the supposed factory theft, right? And I say supposed because nothing's been proven, nothing's there's no hard evidence, right? So.
This is why I say, it's kind of it is proven. This is why, from my point of view, it is, because if you see somebody that's, for example, like it has sores all over their face and they're itching and they're paranoid, they're probably on some drugs. I mean, the same thing can go for him. He doesn't have the packages in a lot of these early reviews, or most of them. I haven't ever seen him. He might be one or two in there. I haven't seen it. We have the Instagram messages. We have Facebook. I'm in possession of some Facebook messages. Mm-hmm. It's just the things that add up to it. But
now my big question is for a lot of. Now I want everybody to understand. Like I don't really have a dog in this race, right? I'm kind of two minds on the situation, if I'm being perfectly honest, right? I think there's a viewpoint of what he does is a good thing because the reviews are early and you can kind of see the product before you buy it. You kind of get aware of what's going to, what plastics, what this is going to be made out of, what that's going to look like, the paint job, yada, yada, right? But then on the other hand, there's a mindset of it is theft and, thievery is bad and stuff like that. So, but the question I'm going to ask is could they be factory samples or factory defects? Because we've seen this in the past where Masterpiece Tracks had a ton of factory defects. It was like an entire line of wasted tracks that Takasa Tony, a knockoff company of Takara Tomy, bought and KO'd their box and did what they did. But what you were actually getting when you ordered that KO was an actual Takara product that they threw in the dumpster or whatever. However Takasa Tony acquired them. Now, do you think that's a possibility here? Is that it's a bunch of factory defects that he's buying? Because and the reason why I even asked this is because we've seen Hasbro'S QC as of late these last couple years. Right. And these last couple of years is when PvP and Cheffatron and Crimzeek and the rest of them really started getting popular with their reviews and stuff, right? Do you think that this is something that they could be doing, that these factory defects are being thrown away? Because like I said, we've seen Hasbro'S QC issues as of late. And instead of throwing them away, because you can't really melt the plastic down and put it back you can't really recycle the plastic for figures that way. So once the figure is produced, it's produced. So do you think this guy that he's getting the figures from is just basically dumpster diving when the factories close and then selling them off as a profit?
I mean, it's certainly a possibility, man. I mean, and it's hard not to comment on all this without bringing morality into the subject. But for a second, let me take morality completely out of it. Even if that's what's happening, I'm pretty sure it's still illegal. I mean, and that's not really a moral issue. I mean, so.
Well, I guess from that moral standpoint, would you say say your neighbor on trash day throws away a chair and you pull it from the curb, it's obviously something he doesn't want, right? And now it's your chair.
That's right? True. But it involves, there's two things I'd like to say on that. Yeah. One, it would involve you going onto his property to get it, which is okay, for some, for most, it'd be fine with me. But we're also talking about a large corporation. This is industrial, not industrial, but a large, company. So it's. I don't think it's a comparable analogy to a great degree.
Well, on one hand, your neighbor doesn't want the chair, and on the other one, Hasbro doesn't want the faulty product. So, right? So you can. I mean, one could even argue to go as far as say he's recycling. It's a stretch to say that he's saving the environment by buying these figures and reviewing them, right? But
that's one way to look at it, man. And I can respect that point of view.
Okay. Like I said, I'm just picking your brain on it, man. That's all I'm doing. I
hear you.
Now, what else? You also said that you don't like the guy because of morality issues and stuff like that. You want to dive deeper? Do you want to talk about that or?
Sure.
Okay.
You know, it hits home for so many of us. The Transformers, that we hold them close to our hearts, and we know we're just talking about just toys here, folks. But it's the little things can help us get through the big things in life, and for some of us, those little things are bigger things, and you know, we can put all of our. They're not too many to be too accurate. I agree with that, Ben. I absolutely agree with that. But so it's a very important thing to to many of us. And for myself, it hits so close to home. And when he's doing this kind of stuff, being a YouTuber as well, it just doubles the insult, you know. So
how's that double the insult for being a YouTuber?
Because he's not putting in any work. You know, he's not coming up with ideas week in, week out. He has the stuff given to him. He has the subs flying at him. When you have people that have been on the platform for decades, you know, you got and I shouldn't, you know, you guys know of who. I mean, there's plenty of them. P.All.'s been around forever. Balt Matrix has been around. One of the longest guys been around. And then you have guys like that are really the godfathers of Transformers reviewers, like Diansis Silverbolt, who I used to watch, but he doesn't make Transformer reviews anymore. But even at his height, he only had, like, I want to say, like, maybe 10,000, 6,000 subs.
Okay.
And these guys have put in so much work for this kid to come in and do this stuff. I mean, that's I'm offended by it myself. You know, that's.
Now, do you think his install base, because he's got what, 100 and I'm taking a stab in the dark, but I know I'm close, like 150,000 subscribers, right?
Oh,
now,
yeah.
do you think his install base has anything to do with the views and stuff that he's getting? Because honestly, one could argue that there is that case, and it is. I mean, it's really easy to share something around when it's the first thing up, and I agree with that viewpoint
First
too.
to market, baby. First to market. But I do agree. But I do agree with that if it's first and it's easily shared around and stuff like that. But like I said, I would argue that it's a lot of his install base that gives the views and stuff.
Yeah.
But you could also argue that it has to start somewhere, right? That 1 subscriber, that 2 subscribers, the 10, the thousands, the 10,000, the 20,000. You know, it all builds on top until it's like a snowball effect where you don't need those initial shares anymore before YouTube starts picking it up in the algorithm and stuff, right? So,
I mean, it was really unprecedented in his case, you know, before he came along, the growth and the amount of growth that we've seen on a Transformers review channel. You know, that I haven't seen it.
And I think the one thing that, because I know on your channel you've done a couple of phone calls to Hasbro. I think you did 6 so far, right? Or is it 4?
I've done 4 on my channel.
Okay. But and I know, so like I know you've called Hasbro about it and stuff like that. And have you gotten? What's your feedback on that? How do you feel about those phone calls and stuff?
You know, if you were to catch me a couple months back, I would have said that, well, they've actually told me that they don't want the situation going on and they're really anti what's going on. I'm starting to think, though, now they actually are maybe a possibility that they just truly may not care. But because we're seeing the same message, we're seeing them give me the same message and others that I know when they've called, the same kind of feedback. We're looking into it. Our enforcement team is checking things. They don't really want any of the evidence that I've offered to them numerous times. And that's sad for me to say, to even say that they don't care. That's a possibility, but it may be. And that's why I think as Transformer fans and Transformer content creators, it's our job to push them into action. And that's what my petition's about. That's why I continually alert them.
I think, and I'll say this, man, I really think that it's hard for people to care when Hasbro doesn't care, right? Like if Hasbro's the owner of the IP, in this case Transformers, and they're not showing a whole lot of care towards it at all, then I think it's hard for people to care. You know, it's kind of like, But also, you know, it is publicity for the figure, and I will say
Hasbro doesn't advertise their figures, and even when something gets shown, we've seen Hasbro 3-4 months down the road finally reveal it. You know, instead of saying, okay, we're going to reveal this now, they forced our hand, they've done this, they've done that, or blah blah blah. We've seen cases where figures have gotten revealed through them, just out of nowhere. You know, just like a review that just pops up out of nowhere. It's just like Kingdom, I don't know, Blaster or whatever. You know, take a random figure and put it in there, right? And we didn't even know it was coming out. It wasn't even on the rumor list or anything else. It was just there. But then Hasbro just kind of goes about their business for 6 months, and then they finally show it. I think Hasbro doing that is, truthfully, I feel like that's a bigger issue, because it's showing the audience that, okay, here's the product, and we're going to show you what we want to show you, and then it kind of makes it easy to make fun of Hasbro in that regard,
right? Because
they're not necessarily caring about the product that they're showing. They're almost like they're following a script, if you will, right? We've got this figure, we have to show this live stream or that live stream or whatever, instead of pulling back, say, Slammer and showing Blaster. You know, they're going to show Slammer instead, and that's been revealed or ruined or whatever, however you want to phrase that, right? So
that's some viable points, some real good points. It also may be a possibility that they're just, it's a long process. You know, It's a different platform. They don't own Google or YouTube. They don't have any pools with that. So they may have to be doing some things for us to see that action take place. You know?
And I'll say this, and you know, say, to counterpoint the argument that I just said, right? Because like I said, I don't really have a dog in the race. I'm just really kind of picking your brain and people's thoughts on this and stuff, right?
Sure.
And just in general, that say Hasbro goes down the road of suing somebody, whether it's Teletraan, PvP, Google, YouTube, whatever, okay, to get something like this taken care of, and say Hasbro loses. Now that opens the door, a complete floodgate for whoever wants to do it, because now it sets that precedent in that lawsuit of, well, you know, you lost that lawsuit, so now it sets the precedent going forward that there's a high probability that you will continually lose every lawsuit that comes down to this, right?
Yeah, it's a very good point. And I think that's why it's important to not only try and get Hasbro to address the issue, but also YouTube. And which is why the petition itself is directed towards those two entities. Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think the plastic crack addiction feeds into this by any chance? I mean, it's off the cuff kind of question, but
what do you mean?
So people, I kind of feel like they have, you know, not everybody, but some cases, people have like a plastic crack addiction where they, you know, like the newest one comes out, they have to get it, right? They already have like a chug scale sound wave, but they have to have the Netflix sound wave because it's so G1 looking, more so than this one, or you know, the cliff jumper that came out in Siege or Earthrise is now everyone's replacing with the Bumblebee one because he's got gray thighs and gray forearms, right? So it's kind of like going. It's like that plastic crack addiction, right? Do you think like that's kind of maybe possibly like feeding against what you're trying to do, possibly?
Yeah, possibly so, man. I think and this is one of the things that the PvP, the pro PvP camp likes to say is that, oh, you're just jealous. You know, you wish you had the figure early. Man, I've been waiting on stuff my whole life, you know, over 30 years, Transformers to come out when they're supposed to come out. Sometimes I'm not able to get product, but I have, like many of us do, probably thousands of Transformers in there. I mean, it's not a matter of that. Not whatsoever.
Yeah. And I'll say this, I've been first before PvP with, I think, two of my reviews, and nowhere near, and like I said, that has stuff to do with install base too, right? But like nowhere near the amount of views on those videos that he got, you know. Now whether that may due to it's not an Optimus Prime or a Bumblebee or whatever, like a major character, I don't know, but
well, it's like you touched on earlier. He was the first to monopolize the market, you know, or do that in that way. Well, he was one of the first. You know, we know there's a couple others that I won't name that tried it and got caught and called out on it, and they pretty much
had their money got kept and they didn't get figures.
Right.
But yeah, I think, man, I don't know. Like I said, I see both sides of it. It's kind of like the double-edged sword, right? They're needed in that sense because Hasbro's so tight-lipped nowadays, in what they're doing and what they're showing and stuff like that. Because, I mean, how many 86 Jazzes have we seen pulled out of the box with the backpack snapped off because of QC issues and stuff like that, you know? But on the other hand, it is, you know, detriment to how Hasbro's perceived because they're pushing forward the way they're pushing forward. There's also something that you brought up too, is like on one of your videos, you're saying that, what was it? Theft is theft, period. Right? Like it's wrong no matter what, right? Is that obviously? Go ahead.
Of course, that's interjecting morality into it, and a lot of people don't really want to hear that side of it. You know, it's hard for me to talk about this stuff without interjecting morality and my own sense of it into the subject. But other than that, I mean, it is illegal in most places, the reception of stolen property, and that's what they're doing. That's directly illegal. It has to be. I know it is in the UK. So
now. Ben Williams brings up, he says, they will move factories again, but imagine the expense and who absorbs that. Collectors and fans, also decent people lose their jobs. And I will agree with that. And I'll say this, it shouldn't even boil down to that. I feel like if Hasbro is the one who decides to move factories because of something like this, then that's on them. If they feel like 30 figures that they didn't make a sale on is make or break for them, and they have to move factories, I think that says something more about Hasbro's financial situation than it does their, I guess, like their morality or whatever. Sure. You know, if $40 is going to make or break you, then you probably shouldn't be in business anyway, right? Like if $40 is going to keep your store open or close your store, you've got worse problems than.
Well, what I would say to Ben's comment, I'm sorry, man, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, dude, you're good. I was done anyway.
We can't attempt to even begin to justify a wrong. I mean, something wrong that's going on by saying, well, this might happen afterwards, or this. I just think it's a wrong line of thinking that, you know, a wrong is a wrong, as a right is a right. I mean, I know that's black and white, and that's looking at it very rigidly. But at the same time, I'm not going to say, well, these justifications, maybe I'm losing my train of thought a little bit. Decent people lose their jobs. Well, I mean, we can't say, well, we're going to keep condoning this action because decent people may lose their job. I mean, how many decent people are actually in there anyway? To be honest with you, if they're doing that stuff, they're letting this stuff get out, or they're sneaking it out themselves.
Well, I think that's unfair to say too, because you can't put the actions of one person on the several hundred people that may not know about the entire situation, right?
I mean, we just don't know, man. I mean, that's
no, and I agree. Like that's why I said at the beginning, we don't know if they're stolen or not, because it's all what ifs, right? Let's see. Although there has been elite conversations. Now, the legendary Oracle of the Internet, Oracle of Dreams, has brought up in advertising, Hasbro probably sees it as free advertisement regardless of how he acquired said figure. He has the followers, so what's the point of ban hammering when people buy their figures? And I've said this for a long time. There's no such thing as bad publicity at all. people start talking about it, whether it's good or bad, the word's being spread. And in advertisement, that's really all you care about, right? Is getting the name of the product out there. So,
and I know with Hasbro also owns Wizards of the Coast, and I've played
Yep.
Magic the Gathering for my entire life. If this were to apply to that card game, what's happening with the Transformers and PvP and all that, there would be pandemonium, and it would be put a stop to, because that's sensitive stuff. You can't have that information out there earlier. There's competitive tournaments and things involved with that sort of thing. So if you had this product released as early as PvP showing off Transformers product, it wouldn't be acceptable. How that's applicable, it may or may not be, but as far as there not being bad advertising, I mean, the impression I got, man, is that when I call them is that they don't want it happening. I think in my first conversation with a lady named Beth, she gave me the indication that they want to put a stop to it. So
I can get that. Like I said, I think this might be one of the cases, truthfully, where the higher ups may not care, and then when I say higher ups, I mean like top level CEOs kind of thing, but like people underneath, like middle management, might care, because it might be them flying overseas to do the QC checks or factory checks or whatever the case might be, right? So every time something gets leaked, they got to leave the house at 4:00 in the morning to jump on a plane. So let's see. Oracle says, so many times I've had brands leave these kinds of things alone because of their view towards their products. Let's see. Ben Williams says, of course we are jealous. I'd love to be enough of a scumbag to break the law. And let's see. Oh, she hit a 200-word limit. Oracle did. So she says there were leaks from the Transformers TCG, and we weren't any pandemoniums for that.
the Transformers TCG is not Magic the Gathering, though.
I will agree with that. I will definitely agree with that. That was a whole different level of let's see. Rico Red Star, what's up, man? Hope you've been good. Rico says Hasbro could easily just break or destroy their junk before it goes to the dumpster. And if they were already, then early figs would not be getting outright stolen. When I was working for GameStop, they made us break the disc on anything they got pennied out. And when something got pennied out of the system, it cost a penny, because in the system, it's something, the way the system works, something always had to have a price attached to it. If it didn't, it was a penny and it was thrown in the dumpster. But they were so afraid of people making a profit on their goods, I guess you could say, is that the district manager would come by. We would have a box, and it was called Fuel Destroy. And it would just be a box, massive, massive box. And our district manager would go outside with us and watch us break every last one of it and then throw it in the dumpster. Snap a disc, throw it in the dumpster. You know, slam a controller on the ground, pick it up, throw the remnants of it in the dumpster, stuff like that. Maybe that's a situation where this might be a cultural thing or whatever, and I'm just speculating at this point on this. Maybe it's a cultural thing in the sense that it's viewed as destructive, and the Vietnamese people don't like that. Maybe, I don't know. Where Americans are more of a throwaway culture. You know, like every 2 years we replace a TV, every 3 years we buy a new car. You know, once a year we replace a phone, so on and so forth, right? Maybe it's a different viewpoint for Vietnamese people in Vietnam. I don't know.
It may be, man. I think for Hasbro as a company, I wrote to them, for example, they've always been really receptive to the fandom, in my opinion. I know a lot of folks might disagree with that, but I've written to them several times in my life. In 92, actually, early 92, I wrote to them because there were no Transformers on the shelves at the time. And me and my older brother, man, we loved that stuff. And I asked them to bring it back. They took the time to write back to me. I think I wrote the letter in crayon, but they've always been real receptive, and they've told me we're working on it. And sure enough, next year they came out. G2 was on the pegs, and it wasn't because of me. It was because of individuals like me expressing that desire, and I think the same could apply here, as far as if enough people raise their voices, it'll end. And it's just a matter of, it's real hard to talk about without putting morality into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for us to expressing our individual beliefs on it. And but if you are passionate about it and it does bother you, I think that it doesn't make sense to get emotional, overly emotional anyway.
And real quick, Ninja Bill says, all I know is this, there is a broken link somewhere. Now, maybe they will do nothing, but maybe they are working to find that link, however many it is, and that takes time. And I agree with that, definitely. I will say, I think there is definitely a problem, whether it be on Hasbro's part or the factory and PvP and Teletraan, the rest of them, Crimzeek and the rest of those guys, right? Like, whether it's on them, whether it's on Hasbro, I think there is a problem, like a huge disconnect there between the two. And I think that needs to get solved first. But I will say, I think Hasbro's side needs to get fixed first before anybody else can really begin to take it seriously. That's not the fandom, right? Because this isn't breaking like CNN level type of news, right? You know what I mean? But could you imagine if it was? Could you imagine? Yeah, I don't know, man. Take a news station, right? Like the Australian News Weekly does a report about Prime versus Prime reviewing stolen toys 6 months early.
After Ukraine bombings, we're gonna get into Hasbro toys being leaked early. Does anyone give a shit?
Well, they're already on the Will Smith thing, so I mean, I don't see how it's any less.
Yeah, right.
Smack.
Let's see. Ben Williams says Blitzwing must surely have been mistransformed with that cockpit on the tank mode. Will people see that and not bother buying it? Will they also lose sales? The thing is, that's G1 accurate for Blitzwing to have the jet cockpit thing under the tank.
Yeah,
like that. That's part of the cartoon. And I know now. Just to get into the Blitzwing thing, go ahead, Danny.
Oh, I'm not going to lose sales for all these simp buyers. Are you kidding me?
Simp
I don't care how bad it is. They're going to buy it anyways.
I think at the end of the day, right? I think that Blitzwing, I think it kind of shows a bigger problem than the factory thefts and stuff and the early reviews and stuff. I think it shows what I'm calling, like, I don't know what else to call it, but like a G1 problem, right? In the sense that is a terrible design to have the cockpit under the tank like that. And I get it. It's part of the G1 cartoon and stuff. And that's what people want. And that's, everything else. But common sense would dictate, like, maybe hide that a little bit better. Right. So like the G1 accuracy is, I don't know. It's one of those things where I think, like I said, I think it reveals a bigger issue. And as far as them losing sales, I don't think they're going to lose sales on it because people were already hyped to get rid of their Titans Return Blitzwing because he should never, quote unquote, be a headmaster. Although we put the heads on the figure and we put them on a shelf and they stay there for the rest of their lives, right? So, but I think people were also already hyped for a Blitzwing because, and I've said this on an older Tales episode, when the reviews for Astro Train, Siege Astro Train, Earthrise Astro Train, when those started coming out and people were comparing him to Blitzwing and Octone from Titans Return, they were like, oh, he's too small. And I said this before. I said, Hasbro's already stated that everything is back on the table to be made again. Doesn't matter if they've already made it. It's on the table to be made again in a new mold, new fashion, new everything. So I think that Blitzwing is that Blitzwing, and I definitely think we're going to get a new Octane out of this. But I think everybody who is in for the Siege stuff, because the Siege started a new scaling for Hasbro. It started everything. Restarted Hasbro's thinking as far as Transformers, rebooted it, everything. So I think it's not going to affect the sales at all, because I've now seen more hype for that Blitzwing figure. I was already hyped because I love Blitzwing as a character, but I've seen more hype now for it now that he's been revealed. And that's the problem that I see, is like Blitzwing got revealed by PvP and Hasbro has done nothing to reveal him himself. You know, they haven't emailed the factory to get some dirty mattress pictures or anything like that, right? They're just letting it go. And if it was me at Hasbro, I would say, okay, we need to get pictures out. We need to take better pictures, and we need to have a silhouette now of Octane standing behind the both of them. So now we can feed that hype and keep it going, right? Like essentially take PvP's momentum away from him and shift it towards us, essentially, right?
I mean, how do we know that they're letting it go though?
Well, I mean, when did that review go up? A week ago?
Yeah. Well,
that's
they could be working on it, man. I mean, we don't know.
I mean, yeah, but I think you know, it's current year with the technology we have. That's a simple phone call to the factory with your translator, you know, and just say, hey, we need to get an overnighted Blitzwing. Don't care about the condition or QC, whatever. We'll super glue the bits if we have to, you know, and just overnight it to us. We're worth $19 billion or whatever it is, right? And so we'll pay the extra $75 to get it to us overnight. But that's what I see on Hasbro's part, is I don't see enough counterattacks, so to speak, right? Ben also goes on to say, Proto Man said that the culture out there is a throwaway for toys, so they don't care. Okay, that was in regards to what I was saying about the culture.
I remember him saying that too, yeah.
And Oracle says, my dad used to bring home carpet and tile squares home because he refused to destroy them. And that's something that I would do too. But like, well, I'm not going to destroy these tile squares. Could be, you know, so my pets can stand on the tile and not lose grip or something while they eat, right? So, let's see. I'm just catching up on chat. Oracle of Dreams is happy to see you, Danny.
I'm happy to see her. Wish I could see her more often. That just reminds me. I had a dream that you guys were moving to Seattle. That's not real, is it? I dreamt that. Yeah.
We actually talked about moving to Seattle like about 2 or 3 months ago. So that's creepy, dude. That's creepy. Ninjaville says, also know this. I have never seen anything in the investors' newsletters or quarterlies about this topic. That's interesting. That might be something. That's actually a good something to bring up. They might be holding something from their shareholders, like or withholding information from their shareholders, right? So that could be, because the shareholders could be like, "Oh man, stolen product. We need to get the F out. We're WWE now, not WWF. We need to get the F out." And if you're old enough to get that, I'm sorry.
I just don't understand though. How are you going to control like what day you can review the toy? Like, are they going to have street dates like video games, or like how do you keep tracking? Like Walmart sometimes has figures they put out early, and you just throw it up online. Like, is it your fault then if you did it early, or you know what I mean? I don't really care either way, because I'm not watching people to get the toy on time or the people who get it early. Fuck that shit. So,
you know, we can't speak for Hasbro. We can't speak for PvP.
Right.
All we can speak for is us as fans and us as content creators. And what we see is all we can react to. And you got a great point input about them not showing us a lot in terms of action that they're taking to prohibit this and stop this stuff. We know in the past that they have changed factories. Maybe they'll do so again. Again, we don't know. But as a fan, for myself, obviously it bothers me. And that's what each of us have to decide, is if it bothers them. I'm not going to be disappointed in somebody it doesn't bother them. But don't be disappointed in me, and don't attack me for going after something that I think is inappropriate and wrong.
I mean, yeah, that's a very fair point. No, real quick, I want to address Ben Williams. He says, "Thank you for reading my comments and answering my question." Absolutely, man. I try my best with chat. I really do.
I got it done.
Now, now it's just from my understanding from your petition, right? It's just PvP, or is it just like the overall theft in general that you're trying to get scrub off of like YouTube and whatnot?
To me, brother, if you cut off the head, the body follows.
I got you.
Kind of the largest one. If he's made an example out of, his buddies might stop. But it's the best way I know how to react to the situation. I mean, other than going to Hasbro.
And I'll say this too is more to Danny's point too is we saw Mattel, do a channel. What is it? Do the 3 strike thing on YouTube as far as the Jurassic Park reviewers went, and they got stuff early, and it wasn't stolen. They showed their receipts. They bought it off the Walmart shelves or Target shelf or whatever, or whatever. No, I think it was an e-tailer, right? They got it from or whatever. But they genuinely bought the figure. They showed evidence and they showed proof, and Mattel still dropped a ban hammer on them and got their channels deleted, got their Instagrams deleted, basically they tried to scrub them off of social media over a T-Rex figure, So I do think that Hasbro in that regard does have the power to do this. And I have seen arguments that Hasbro wouldn't want to do it because it would leave a negative light on them in the sense that you saw the backlash with Mattel. Could you imagine the backlash against Hasbro, right? Like that same backlash would be against them. And
I hope that ain't true, man. I really do.
Yeah, I just wondering like how early is too early. Like I said, like you go find it at the store, no one else. There's barely no reviews on it. You think you got it legitly. You're just starting your channel out. You don't know all the inside stuff. You don't follow these blogs, these channels, and then you get in trouble. Like that kind of sucks. But I mean, like like I said, does it dates or
Yeah, no, I see that point totally.
Like I'm against it too, man. I know what you mean. Like I think stealing is bad and what they're doing and all that. But I remember Proto Man saying some of these people, like they don't make a lot of money in these countries and they're stealing it and getting some money for it and stuff. And it's just like it's not like that person in the comments not really frowned on over there. So
yeah,
it's a hard thing to beat,
Yeah, and that's why my actions take it towards PvP himself, not the factory, not those people in the factory.
Sure.
Because in his society, we know it's how it is looked upon.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just
wow. Now you're saying earlier you cut the head off the dragon, the rest of it goes, right? Do you think now if you were successful in what you're trying to do you think that creates a power vacuum and then people start going towards other reviewers instead? Because I mean, just because he's off of YouTube doesn't mean he loses his connections to the factory to be able to sell the stuff to reviewers, right?
Oh, absolutely, and that is a possibility, man. And do I think that my little petition is going to succeed? Probably not, but it shows that we're doing something. So I know that if we get 100 signatures, change will bring it in front of more people's eyes. I have a couple supporters of it that have put a little bit of money into it, and so it has gotten a lot of views that it has gotten. I think we're about at 75 signatures now. I could be wrong. But I mean, once I get to 1,000, it's my hope I can present it to Hasbro themselves or YouTube themselves, even though YouTube's pretty difficult to get a hold of in that way. But yeah, I definitely think it is a possibility. I hope that's not the case.
Now, Earthman Brick brings up, this is actually a pretty good question, I guess, for yourself, is that he says, Hasbro will take action if you notify their legal department. Have you notified their legal department? Because I know in your phone calls, I think you're calling customer service, right?
Yes, sir. The customer care line. I really wasn't aware of any number I could contact other than the customer care line. I've tried to look for the office of the CEO or the board of directors or that kind of thing online. I couldn't find anything. They just refer you to a business like inquiry number. But I couldn't find the information I needed to get a hold of anybody else so far.
my understanding, they're publicly traded, right? So that information is public. It may not be easily accessible, right? But it would definitely have to be out there. Ninja Bill says Hasbro is different from Mattel. The sheer amount of IP that Hasbro owns and the direction they are taking the company is different. Now, I would agree with that. If they hadn't tried to move factories, right? Like, so in that regard, it does show that Hasbro does care in some degree. At least they did at one point or some point, right? But I think anybody who owns an IP, whether it doesn't matter how many they own, I think there should be some level of fearfulness of something getting leaked or put out there or whatever, right? Because if you see a movie like a script get leaked online, we saw this with the first Bayformers Turtles movie. A script got leaked online, and the Turtles were from Dimension X, and everything was happening, and the fans lit it up. They destroyed it, and they boycotted the movie and stuff, right? And then they had to go and they had to change the movie. That cost Universal, whoever did the movie, a shit ton of money to go in and redo the movie and then do what they had to do to fix that problem, right? So I think anybody, if you're smart, company-wise, business-wise, I think it's very smart to be fearful of something like that being leaked or happening or whatever, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it also may be a matter of Hasbro's left hand not knowing what the right is doing because they're so large of a corporation. You know, they may be against what PvP is doing and theft and stolen property, but then a whole nother section of them might not really be conscientious about the matter entirely. So it's just trying to guess, you know.
And that's very true. And Oracle of Dreams says, my understanding is that PvP is going to Hasbro-sponsored events. If that's the case, they already know and they don't give a fuck. So I could definitely see that being the case as well, because a lot of those people, I know Rodimus Primal gets invited, I know PvP gets invited to that stuff, and I know Proto Man gets invited to that stuff. There's a lot of people that get invited to this stuff. So, and I've also been told from TFCon by people who worked at Hasbro when I was at TFCon that Hasbro knows and sees everything that everybody does. If you hashtag whatever Power Rangers, Transformers, G.I. Joe, whatever they own, man, Entertainment One, whatever, they see it. They have people there where their sole jobs is to sit on social media and check people's social media and YouTube videos and stuff, so they see everything. And Ninja Bill says there is no way to contact their legal department that he is aware of. So let's see. Earthman Brick says, what pisses me off is the most about this is that it makes the toys less special. I have less personal investment in getting them if they can be so easily stolen. I want to address this, and you guys can feel free as well. I agree with that. I do agree with that. And my thing is, there's a very special feeling of walking into a store, and I use Blitzwing as an example because the review and stuff of everything that's been going on with him. But if I walked into a store and I saw Blitzwing, I would lose my mind like I always do whenever I see a Blitzwing on the shelf. And it doesn't matter what I'm in the store for. I can have $100 in my pocket for groceries. I now have 50 in my pocket for groceries. You know what I mean? Because that Blitzwing's coming home, man. It don't matter. I'll live off of ramen and bologna sandwiches for 2 weeks to get that Blitzwing. I don't care, right? So, I feel where you're coming from, Earthman Brick. What say you guys?
I absolutely agree. I mean, it kind of does make the toys less special, but I mean, at the same time, as far as like Blitzwing goes, man, I think I'm gonna pass on that one anyway because I'm happy with the Titans Return one, but I know that's not what he's talking about. But I do agree.
I mean, it's just that thing, like even just regular reviews ruin it in a way. So I mean, I don't care. I'm not one of these people that wants to open the toy and be like, oh look, like I'm doing it my first time. Like I'm the person that gets the toy, I go right to the video to figure out how to transform it, right? So I'm not, I don't care about the surprise and all that, but like you said, like it's just you know, just it maybe showing like I don't know. I kind of like seeing some of the pictures early too. You know, on the TF 2005 or whatever. Like, I don't watch the videos, but like I'll see those pictures of early product, and it intrigues me more, actually, to tell you the truth. I'm sorry, but I'm not watching the videos because I'm not watching people that put out the toy when it's, you know, supposed to be out on time, or, you know, unless I need to know how to transform.
Well, there's nothing wrong at all with being intrigued by. We're all intrigued by Transformers or looking at them as early as possible. There's nothing wrong because we want to look at that stuff.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
I don't want to support people making money off of it, or like in a way, like I feel guilty even when I see the pictures though. But I mean, I'm just saying, like the pictures do intrigue me a little bit because I'm like, oh wow, that's like the new way they're going with shit. It gets me hyped or whatever. But like I said, I'm not watching the reviews.
Oh man, it takes every ounce of strength I have sometimes not to want to click on that, like his drag strip reviews, legacy drag strip review, when he puts that thing up so early. But you know, I don't. But I mean, there's part of me that wants to. There's no shame in that.
Yeah, I'm not just tempted on the videos, like I said, like, but the pictures for sure. Because I'm just scrolling through the TF forum and I see it. Oh wow, they're doing this new thing, and I just skim to the next thing, right? But they don't really have this problem with third party stuff, though. Hey, or
I think third party has their own problems when certain companies like Fans Toys start to get knocked off and they get real pissy about it, and then they say, well, you know, if you take these figures. If you take these pre-orders, we're not going to send you any more of our product. And it's like, but you're stealing intellectual property here, Fans Toys. Like if you put your Cyclonus next to a character model sheet of the IP intellectual property of Hasbro's Cyclonus, and you took it to court, there's a good chance, I would say a highly good chance, that a court would side with Hasbro on that one. You know,
but people aren't getting those figures early though, right?
No, because third party, I kind of feel like has better control over that, more so than Hasbro, and I think that's because of, you know, they're so close to it. I think Hasbro being a U.S. company using a Vietnam factory, there's an ocean apart from them, so they really can't keep an eye on them 24/7. But I think in the case of, say, like Fans Toys, they're Chinese, they're a Chinese company, and their factories are in China, so they can simply walk down the street and keep a tab on everything that they're doing, you know, or everything that's going on in that factory, or what, you know. So I think it's a lot easier.
Less toys, bigger scale, and like maybe like tighter knit like work facility, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I know some of them, some of the people, they have like their own factory. They design in their own factory and all that stuff. And something real quick I wanted to say about Blitzwing. While it's on my mind, I've said this in people's chats before and in comments and everything, but I haven't put it out there yet because everyone's all like, input, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But I'm saying it right now. I'm calling it. Those giant meat grabber hands that come with this Blitzwing, those will be alternate hands for the Minosaur that's coming out.
Totally agree. I actually thought the same thing, man.
Really?
Yeah, I think Motor Master will come with the hands, the feet, the trailer, and everything else, the standard hands. But I got a feeling you'll be able to swap out those hands with those big old freaking gloves that Blitzwing comes with for sure. Action figure expert. Oh, go ahead. What are you going to say, Mathew?
No, I just said he does look great. That Blitzwing. He looks.
Action figure expert says, "Sorry, I'm late to discussion, but what are we trying to get signed here? You want to explain it for him, Mathew, for the latecomers?"
Yeah, we have a petition on change.org for the immediate removal of the YouTube channel Prime versus Prime. The gentleman that receives and reviews stolen property from Hasbro early, at least allegedly. And in my opinion, it's pretty much proven, but to many, it's allegedly. I think it's, you know, personally, it's an insult to Transformer content creators, the fandom, and the company that has given us the Transformers for over 30 years.
All right. And Oracle of Dreams says, here's a thought. Hasbro could also be moving into an influencer type advertising And that's why they've been looking the other way. It happened in the makeup community at the very beginning of YouTube, and that's a very real possibility as well. I guess more to her point is this. Now that I think about it, when's the last time you've seen a Transformers commercial, a G.I. Joe toy commercial, a Power Rangers Lightning Collection toy commercial? And I don't mean like the one-off that you see for like Kingdom, that one time, once a year that they do, you know what I mean? Where it's just wave one and that's it. Where like the actual commercials, the multiple commercials that you used to get, where's, you know, that level of advertisement? Because I tell you, every time I turn on a YouTube video, I get an ad for multiple sclerosis medication, like every time, you know? So,
well, I don't think it's entertainment in general has changed so much over the years, you know, and what kids are doing nowadays is so different than what I used to do, what y'all may have used to do. So, I mean, it's really not, I don't think advertising is the same, and they're not gearing it towards the same, I would think, but I am kind of ignorant on this subject. So I think that
people are advertising it themselves. Like if they get it early or not, like it's on every social media, it's on YouTube. It's like, so they don't really need to pump the money into advertising. It's just out there, you know, just put it in the Google search and you'll see something pop up.
Yeah.
You know, it's made them maybe lazy in that way. They're like, oh, we'll just save the money. It's like, weren't you going to do that Blitzwing review? Yeah, but Prime versus Prime already did it. The board's like, oh yeah, I guess we can move on. Hopefully they're not like that, you know, but it just seems like that. It seems like they don't care, which is sad.
I can definitely see that.
And like when you start calling them and they seem like they care, like maybe they're just trying to like just, you know, like, you know, in a bad, horrible way, you know, just trying to get you off the line in a way. Like they're just trying to like, they don't know how to deal with it, but they want to keep you still happy. And, you know, it sucks, right?
And that might be true. I hope it's not.
No, for sure. It just sucks. Like, I'm glad you're trying to, you know, get the petition and get things moving a bit. And like you said, if you could talk to higher ups besides just the customer service line, that would be, you know, that'd be the next step for sure, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Dave Wave has posable nipples. Love the screen name. That's hilarious. He says, I have backed off of from online orders and picking stuff up in store only because it does feel more special to me. I can definitely see where you're coming from on that.
Yeah, if it showed up.
Let's see. Oracle, yeah, right. Oracle Dream says, I love buying makeup and hair stuff in stores, but I like the instant gratification with my purchases as well. Let's see, I'm just kind of scrolling through chat, you guys, real quick, just trying to get caught up. Let's see. Ben Williams says, you can buy third-party cereal or fake Coke, but it's loads cheaper. I wish third-party Transformers were cheaper than the real ones. I will say, I think, you know, I was actually thinking about this the other day too, is I think the reason why Hasbro really doesn't go after third party is because they're not in competition with Hasbro. And I know what you're thinking when I say that is, but Cyclonus is Cyclonus, right? Like they're taking sales or whatever. Could you imagine if like, say, Mech Fans Toys did chug scale Transformers? That's when I feel like Hasbro would start going after a third party company is when they start doing chug scale stuff. And I think that's why we don't see chug third-party figures anymore.
Haven't they gone after some third parties in the past, though? Like Impossible Toys?
Yeah, they have, 100%. But I think they don't do it to the extent that they could because there's not a masterpiece Cyclonus. They went after Unicron when they announced their Unicron. They went after...
Cell, yeah.
Yeah, Studio Cell for Unicron. Takara had legal words, you know, with over their Shockwave and their the Fans Toys Quake Wave. But then the KO Quake Wave was coming out, so I think that got squashed because of that. Because Quake Wave lost sales and stuff because of the fake KO one.
So I think the Cloud 9 version?
Yeah, the Cloud 9 one, yeah. Yep.
Oh.
Action Figure Expert says, yes, but why in the hell would Blitzwing come with the parts for Minosaur? It's because of people like me who are really only in this line for Minosaur because I love the Stunticons, will buy Blitzwing I mean, and like I said, I love Blitzwing. He's already, but if those hands came with like a Megatron, I would be screwed because I would have to buy that Megatron to get those hands. It's just a way for the figure to get sold for people who are just in that line for, you know, certain characters or certain figures or something like that. So that's, I mean, we see it all the time with third-party figures, right? Why would Optimus Prime come with a Grimlock face, an alternate Grimlock face? Why would Cyclonus come with an alternate Galvatron gun? Like, I mean, it's the mindset of you're if you get Galvatron, now we're going to force you to get this Galvatron because you have this random gun lying around. Or if you want a toy accurate gun with your show accurate Galvatron, and this toy accurate gun comes with Cyclonus, then you got to spend the $250 on the Cyclonus to get the gun. And it's just that mindset. Just that.
And touching on that, we also see it with Marvel Legends all the time, and we see it. But also, they may be pulling something like in Binary Wars, where those hands or gloves could be also compatible with a future Gestalt, like Superion. You know, it may be after Legacy or something.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's see. Actually, Expert goes on to say, I have a feeling there's hands that come with Blitzwings, Michael, with this so-called monster called Energon Monster. You know, that's a good call. I forgot all about the Energon Monster. That's Ninja Bill goes on to say Brian Goldner liked movies because that's where he wanted the toy company the direction to go into. Yeah, he wanted to do entertainment stuff more so than toys or whatever. Which I kind of feel like he did miss the mark on, because you can do the toys and the cartoons and stuff. Because now I'm watching BotBots, and I want deluxe class BotBots. I don't want the little baby ones anymore. You know, I want like actual deluxe class BotBots. So
yeah, mind.
Right. And Ben Williams.
I'm sorry, man. Did you enjoy that BotBots?
I'm 2 episodes in, and it's very kiddie. But I'm enjoying it so far. I will say the thumbnail of, was it Clog Stopper, the plunger, the toilet plunger, licking crap covered toilet paper as the thumbnail should probably be changed. But I mean, it's pretty funny. I'm enjoying it so far. Let's see. Ninja Bill's got a split later. Ninja Bill and Chris has got a split later. Chris, and speaking of splitting, I want to say thank you to everybody who joined us on this episode of Tales from Teletraan Presents. Matthew, you got anything that you want to plug, or any last minute things you want to throw out there about your channel, about your whatever you want, man?
Yeah, I appreciate you so much for having me on, man, and thank y'all for letting me join y'all. And check out the podcast if y'all like it. It's Transformers Talk Raw.
All right.
Yeah.
Danny, you got anything you want to say to the people out there in internet land?
No, man, I'm really toxic right now. No, just, whatever. Have fun, enjoy the hobby. But yeah, there's stuff that needs to be worked out, But thanks for joining us, TF Talk. I've watched quite a bit of your stuff, and yeah, like I said, I was just impressed of how, just off the cuff and real you were with your stuff. I think the community needs that, and your channel, I don't know if you had it very long, but it seems to be growing pretty quickly. So just stay at it, and yeah, thanks for joining us. Thanks for having us. And good, yeah, no worries. Yeah.
All right. Now, Matthew, you're the guest of the show. You close out the show. That's how it runs every show. Guests always close it out, unless we don't have a guest, and that's Danny's job. So, what's any words of wisdom or anything else out there, man, that you want to tell people?
Yeah, freedom is the right of all sentient beings.
There you go.